or Year 11s, whoever's out there. Okay, hope you're all well, and that despite all this difficulty and uncertainty, you're coping all right. Okay, so I thought it would be helpful just to put a little video together, just to talk you through some things I want you to do for this lesson, okay, and try and achieve a bit of normality. So you should have found out about the festivals, Wesak and Paranavana, okay, and then obviously this term karma, or spelled K-R-A-R-M-A as well, is one that you're already familiar with, but it's obviously about action and about how action can have a positive or negative effect on your life now and in the future. Okay, it's not referring to natural laws. It's not referring to supernatural laws. It is simply natural laws that work in this world, and it's empowering because it gives humans the ability to control things and their future life. Key terms hopefully you've learned are that good karma is about achieving skillful action, and bad karma is about unskillful action. Okay, and this is something that Buddhists are trying to work on and create skillful actions in all they do. Okay, so that was karma. Now, obviously, it talks about the impact this has on your next life, and I think it's just important to be aware that there are different ideas about the afterlife within Buddhism. So, if we look at the top left-hand box there, that for mostly Theravada and Mahayana Buddhism, there is this belief that there are 6 different states that Buddhists are born into after death. So those are in hell, hungry ghosts, asuras, demigods, the human world, of course, and animals. And there are then different planes of existence, if you like, not just this world. All right. And you'll see in Zen Buddhism and sort of forward Mahayana, they actually don't really hang on to that idea, because they think we shouldn't speculate about the afterlife. Clinging to beliefs about the life after death is almost an obstacle to peaceful meditation, and a bit egocentric, focusing on yourself, which is what Buddhism should not be. I think Tibetan Buddhism talks more about focus on different human states of existence, but I think it's interesting that many Western Buddhists, people who obviously who converted to Buddhism, and Buddhism's changed and developed in this country, and so the Buddhist centre in Manchester, they don't necessarily subscribe to literal different states after this life, but more that those are symbolic. So the hungry ghost state is really symbolic of perhaps people who have addictions, and rebirth of an animal is referring to people who live like animals, literally like animals, and get stuck into a pattern of such a lifestyle. Okay, so perhaps in a sense what you're reborn into is not necessarily another alternative state. All right. Okay, and those are the 6 states then are developed, broken down into 31 realms. But you don't need to know all those at all for the exam, but I just thought just to clarify a bit more about rebirth. Right, okay, so you know about karma, and then what I'd like you to do in today's lesson, using the textbook as instructed, is to look at compassion, which is karuna, and then also loving kindness, which is metta. Okay, and I'd like you just to read those through, and then I'll show you. I want you to fill in a little Word document. I think just important to say that in Buddhism, obviously they are trying to develop wisdom through meditation, and really understand reality as it is, understand the 4 noble truths, and the whole idea about craving causing suffering. That's the focus of meditation. That, in a sense, is what's overcoming the poison of ignorance. Okay, and you remember there are 2 other poisons. Okay, and that's hatred and greed. So, in a sense, these compassion and loving kindness are developing qualities, virtues that try to reduce that clinging to greed or clinging to hatred. It's trying to almost eradicate those from your life. Okay, so you've got to work on these as well as wisdom, and by doing this, that you're extinguishing those three poisons and achieving nirvana. Okay, so that's where these fit in. All right, so it's really important. And these will be developed through action, practice, but also through meditation as well. So like a loving kindness meditation, which I mentioned in class. Talk to you about that in a moment. Okay, so I'll leave you to read about those in the textbook. I think just as it says there, compassion. I think that sometimes it's difficult to kind of see what's the difference between the two when you're reading the textbook. I think for me, I've put there, karuna is really empathizing with the suffering of others. It's in the textbook. It talks about, and having sort of compassion for the suffering of others, and relating to that. And I think feeling concern for others. I think really for me that is best captured by the word empathy. Okay, and then loving kindness is more straightforward in some ways. It is just literally about developing a sense of care, of friendly attitude, of love, really, for all people, regardless of their qualities. We tend to kind of focus on people because of qualities, and we rule out other people because they're not so pleasant. But it's about overriding that and having a sense of love for all people. Okay, but I think so that is loving kindness. I think compassion is when you are really not just wanting the best for them, but you actually when you understand their suffering, you kind of relate to that, and you put yourself in their shoes and empathize with their suffering. Okay, so those are the two key practices. Right. Okay. I hope that's just a quick summary. I think just to talk a bit about loving kindness meditation, that is explained on the textbook on page 69. But that's where you meditate and you start by thinking about yourself, and then a good friend, and then a neutral person, perhaps someone you see on the street, or perhaps not at the moment, but in normal sort of daily routine, we might go past somebody on a daily basis. We don't really know who they are, but we recognise them. And then we move out to difficult people. We all have people we find difficult, okay, perhaps we dislike, and then almost perhaps people who are in the wider world. So perhaps people in countries that are suffering in other places. And the idea is that as you're meditating, you visualize or imagine these different individuals. Okay, remember that we're talking about that sort of type of vipassana meditation, and slowly you move outwards. Okay, and you're developing that kind of sense of kindness for them. Okay, so by doing these two practices, you extinguish those three poisons, and you find yourself more caring, more empathetic to people, and stop being hatred and greedy and jealous of other people. Okay, so what I'd like you to do once you've read those through is just kind of find this document that I've put in the folder. And just fill those in, okay? What they each mean, how does it contribute to release from suffering, all right? And then how do they develop that those virtues? And then in the revision book, I've mentioned there are some questions in the revision book on page 76 and page 77. Have a go at answering those, and then email those to me, and I will then mark those and get those back to you. Okay. All right. I will be in touch again, and I'm hoping at some point we might be able to do something a bit more interactive as well through Microsoft Teams. I'm just exploring that at the moment. All right. But there's something just to keep you going. All right. Thanks now. Bye bye.